Also in New York, former Congressman Lee Zeldin, as he just said, has won the state's Republican gubernatorial nomination, defeating 3 other candidates, including Andrew Giuliani. Zeldin will face off against New York's Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul in November. Let's bring in New York Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis on this. Just quickly on her decision to try to set up this $35 billion fund. How you know New York State a lot better than I do. How will that go over statewide?
Well, as Senator Boyle said, majority of New Yorkers may support being pro-choice. However, they don't necessarily support their tax dollars going to fund for travel, for abortion tourism, is really, I guess, the expression. We believe that people have to protect the taxpayer money. We are seeing record budget in this state. It is completely fiscally irresponsible. You're seeing a budget that is twice the state of Florida, yet Florida has millions of more residents. And the Democrats in Albany can't seem to find, look, they can never fall short of ideas on how to spend the taxpayers' money.
Okay, so Lee Zeldin was congressman in the House of Representatives. Now he's going to be the candidate for governor on the Republican side. The chances of him being able to win, how do you see it?
Well, look, if you look at what happened in Virginia last year, you look at what happened in New Jersey, how close that candidate came despite having lack of funding and support. No one thought that that would happen. And so I believe that Lee Zeldin does have an opportunity. And really, this is our last chance to save the state of New York. We've been living under one-party rule since 2018. And all these radical laws have come into play here. The bail law that Kathy Hochul continues to support, refuses to repeal, has been disastrous for our state. And 3/4 of New Yorkers have said that crime is the top issue on their minds when they're going to vote. If that's the case, not a single one of them should be voting for Kathy Hochul. Lee Zeldin will repeal the bail law that has been a disaster. He will make sure he appoints a parole board that won't keep releasing cop killers and murderers and serial rapists like our current governor has done. And at the end of the day, he said he's going to also take control and take away the district attorney's rights here in New York, like Alvin Bragg. And she refuses to remove Alvin Bragg.
It's interesting because since the Roe v. Wade decision, I noticed that many Democrats, that's what they want to talk about. They don't want to talk about crime, inflation, gas prices, even immigration. And so that will be interesting to see. I also wanted to ask you about this. There's another New Yorker. She is weighing in on the Supreme Court being expanded after Roe v. Wade. This is a fellow congresswoman of yours, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is call for number 2.
I believe that President Biden should entertain expansion of the Supreme Court. I believe that he should forcefully come out in ending the filibuster. And we need to show and demonstrate to the American people that then when they vote to give Democrats power, we will use it to the fullest extent possible to defend everybody's civil, economic, and human rights.
I'm not sure she realizes how out of step she is with the rest of the country on this. And even President Biden, who said he's not for this, the commission they set up said, we are not for this. So this is not actually going to happen.
Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as you know, is a devout socialist. So it should be no surprise to anyone that she is taking a page out of the socialist playbook of Hugo Chavez. That is what Hugo Chavez did in Venezuela. He packed the Supreme Court from 20 to 32 justices, 45,000 cases ruled in he and Maduro's favor. That is how they destroyed the richest nation in South America. And now people are fighting for food, looking through garbage cans, and have lost a significant amount of body weight as a result. We can never allow that to happen in the United States. That is why I've been one of the most vocal opponents to packing the court. And she has some audacity to say that we are separate branches of government and then claim that the legislature should go forward with packing the court.
Right. And she says that she wants to consider maybe even running for president. That was on Colbert's show last night. I'm sure we'll have some more to say to that on the 5 later if you have a chance to watch that. Nicole Malliotakis, thanks for coming in to the city.
Thank you.
We'd love to see you.
Great to be with you.
Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.